Hello and welcome back to another video here at Seb's Garage. Today we've got the black fit in the shop with another giant box. So let's open this up and see what we got. So this should be the correct exhaust from Unequal Fab this time. So let's pop this open and see what we're working with. This box does not have a bunch of holes in it, so I have higher hopes than I did last time that this one is not damaged. Gaskets and bolts. Little note. More packing this time, which is always good. Woo. Got some big pieces in here. This is the one I'm excited about here. Boy. Alright, here it is. We've got the new 2.5-inch full catback exhaust from Unequal Fabrication. This is the one that I had originally ordered with a twin tip oval muffler. I think this would be a really cool look and sound for the car. This also feels a good bit heavier than the other one, so I think it should actually muffle it pretty well and keep it quieter, which, in my opinion, is always good. So, yeah. We've got, this is the part that hooks up to the cat here with the 3 bolts. Goes over to the passenger side. We've got a resonator, which I opted for, because again, I'm trying to keep it on the quieter end. And then it goes all the way back to this piece. It also came with hardware. It's all V-band, so it should fit pretty well. So, let's get this up in the air and throw it on. This is like 90% of the reason I wanted a new exhaust. Every time I'm trying to get this car up on the lift, you hear that? The exhaust scrapes on the pad because it's the lowest hanging part of the car. And I've had to always park closer to the driver's side, which makes it more difficult to get in and out of the car. So I'm hoping this will remedy that. Here you can see this is the resonator for the mid-pipe and how it's all worn flat. This is just always the lowest part of the car and it hangs down below the pinch weld by a good inch or two. So yeah, there's a lot of room above it. And I'm hoping that this other exhaust will kind of tuck in and give me a little bit more room here. Well, I got the mid-pipe out, but I guess it didn't record, so it's sitting right over there. And then I found something else over here. My AC hasn't been working since I installed this new aluminum radiator, and I figured something was up with an AC component. And I come over here to this plug, and I go, huh, that looks plugged in, and then I tug on it, and yeah, it's not clipped in. So hopefully that's all it was. Now it's clipped in, it won't come off. And hopefully that was a very easy AC fix, because I haven't had AC, and in a black car when it's 80 degrees out, it sucks. And I have to do a 3 and change hour drive up to Michigan for grid life next weekend. An AC would be really nice to have. So now that all of this is empty, let's go ahead and throw the new exhaust on. I know I did a terrible job of not giving you very good cinematics before this went on. Sorry, I got too excited. Putting it on, a little bit of a pain. It's mostly because of my car. This hanger has been modified, so exhaust never want to sit right, and I always have to kind of mess with it. But it's on there. The only thing I'm kind of worried about is it hitting here by the gas tank, which I'll show you in a little bit. Now I'm going to take the protective film off of the exhaust tips, clean everything so all my grubby fingerprints aren't getting all over the exhaust when it heats up, and then we get to hear it, which is the most exciting part. Time to start it. I'm hoping it's A, not too loud, B, not too raspy. It's both of those things, which isn't great for NA, but will probably sound a lot better turboed. So let's go for a drive and see whether I'm going to keep it on for the time being or if I'm going to go back to my old setup. So AC works, so that's a plus, but yeah, man, this exhaust it ain't it. Not for an NA setup anyway. I'm sure it'll be fine when it's turboed, but it is loud. Like, even at idle, it's loud, and you can hear, you know, like AC kicking in or the idle catching and stuff just when you're sitting at a light. I don't like attracting that much attention, so I think I'm going to swap it back to what I had before, at least until the car is turboed. But right now, yeah, not it. And I'm going to do a little downshift here so you can hear it. Like, I don't know if the mic is going to pick it up, but it's pretty friggin' loud. I haven't even really gotten into it yet to hear how it sounds. Rasp. Yeah, not my thing. I feel like I'm gonna get pulled over wherever I go, which is not exactly what I want. So, catch you back at the shop. Well, we are back in the shop with this thing here, and yeah, that exhaust is just way too loud for my liking for an NA setup. The car is not catted. It's probably a lot of why it sounds as raspy and as loud as it is. I think I'm going to end up going back to this for the time being and give the other setup a try once all of this stuff is on. So I'm going to go ahead, get the car up in the air, swap it back out, and I will insert some clips right here of what the car sounds like. It is 7-something in the morning on a Sunday. Way too early for me. I'm not a morning person. And we are in the race fit, and we're going to the track. Jay is running another event with GPS Track Time, who actually used my car for the event flyer, which was cool. I didn't know they were going to do that. I haven't ran with them in about a year, which is kind of crazy to think about. Last time I was at Blackhawk was a year ago. So my car's not going to get on track today. Well, sort of. You have to cross the track to get into the pits. But I'm not going to be racing today. Just going to go hang out, go see how Jay is doing, and see if he can beat my personal best. That will be the benchmark for him that I'm going to set. And I'm going to egg him on to see how well he can do. Because I'm the worst kind of, best kind of bad influence? Yeah, something like that. I don't know. It's too early. I'll see you when we get there. We are about halfway there, in the middle of backcountry bumble frick. Man, I miss this car. And I know I say that often when I drive it, but I genuinely, really miss how awesome this car is. I really think that I'm going to end up selling the silver car sooner than later, and just daily driving this thing, because it's so dang good as a dual duty vehicle. It is more punishing driving it as a daily driver compared to a car that's as stock as my cylinder car, but man is it enjoyable. I totally forgot how people react to this car out in the wild. Like, I was at a stoplight and someone's turning left in front of me and they were just snapping their neck looking at it like, man, what is that thing? Which is awesome. You know, like, I see kids rolling down the back window of their parents' car and giving me a thumbs up, and like all sorts of just really cool reactions to this car, which I love. You know, like, not even for the attention of it, but just to make people's day and just to bring them just a little bit of joy is such a cool feeling. So yeah, I got some things to tweak to make it a better everyday car, which we'll be working on soon, hopefully, and then prepping cylinder car for sale, and just enjoying this thing because it is too damn good to let it sit and not get driven. This is what you can expect. Driving out to most racetracks, they're kind of in the middle of nowhere, so you get to see a bunch of rural America, which is equal parts cool and terrifying. But yeah, we're almost there. We've got about 20 minutes, so see you shortly. We made it. This is the weird part of the track. You'll see here in a second, after my car stops yelling at me, that we have to cross the actual racing surface to get into the track. It's the only track I've ever been to that does this. It's kind of weird, kind of cool, because from the middle of the track, which is where the pits are, you can see everything. So yeah. Like they're getting some, you got to let those people pass flags going on. Blue with yellows, fit people, we're familiar with those. So yeah, we're gonna find some friends, and after we get in the track, I'll show you a little more. That was a couple weeks ago when I went to Blackhawk Farms Raceway for Jay's Car's track event. And yeah, the car is quieter, a lot quieter, especially when you're just kind of cruising or at idle. I don't know if the camera will really do that justice. GoPros don't have the best mics in the world, and I don't have an external mic yet, but I am going to be working on that soon. So yeah, I think that this will be a better option just for my use case currently. But maybe if we have a little extra time, we try to play around with some of this and some of there. Let's see what we can get done. All right, now that exhaust stuff is done, I'm thinking we should have just a little bit of fun and start mocking up some of the intercooler components on here. I think I want to at least do intercooler, piping up to throttle body, and then piping to wheel well. I'm very curious to see what the clearance is going to be. I have not a very common alignment or wheel and tire setup on this car because I'm running some big boy stickies, and I'm planning on going wider once the turbo is on. So I just want to make sure that I have ample clearance, lock to lock, and that everything's going to sit kind of where it needs to be. This is a very rough mock-up of what the kit will look like and how it'll fit. The intercooler's not actually mounted because I got to drill holes and put some rib nuts or something into the crash beam. So everything's not 100%, but it gives me a good idea. Happy to see that the 51R will clear, no problem. The air filter will be where it needs to be. I've got a little funnel here feeding some fresh air to it from the front bumper area. It should clear with the fog lights. We'll find out in a minute here when I throw the bumper back on. It looks like I will have to trim my shields more so that they actually fit, but that's not that big a deal, and I was kind of expecting it. Plus, these need to get replaced anyway. This intake, which goes to the turbo, didn't want to fit 100% just because the runner for the header's kind of in the way. And I'm not about to remove my exhaust manifold just to test fit, you know, all this real quick. So it's just kind of like zip tied in place. Everything's not finalized, but I am happy to see. Let me crawl underneath here and show you that this tucks up nicely around core support and then nicely around AC. It looks like it is no wider out than the frame rail, so the tire should not come in contact, but I'm going to do lock to lock in a second here. I'll still be able to run my tie bar, and then it'll run up here close to the axle. I'm going to have a shield there and do some other stuff to keep temperatures in check, because that's going to be one of my biggest things with the added turbo setup is heat management. Super important, especially on a track car. So I just want to make sure that I'm doing everything that I can to make this thing run as cool as possible, protect the oil lines, coolant lines, shift cables, axles, everything that I can from all of the added heat and stress that the turbo will cause. So another thing that I think is kind of cool is with the vented hood, we'll be able to see the blow-off valve, which is right in there, and then the air filter. So when the blow-off valve goes off, that sound should escape through here and be pretty audible, which is kind of cool. I got a blow-off valve that's on the louder side. So I'm going to put the bumper on, and then we're going to do lock to lock. Check that real quick. Take it all back apart, put the whole car back together. Well, bumper doesn't fit worth a damn because it all needs to get trimmed. I think I'm probably going to have to either really trim down this grill or replace it, remove it altogether. I do have a spare from the bumper that I smashed at Gingerbread last year. So that's cool. I got one to play with. But it does look like the fog lights will clear, which is good because my fog lights on me are like this. So yeah, not something I'm going to get into right now. Again, this is just a rough mock-up just to see how everything looks. So check lock to lock and then take it all out. All right, so this is all the way to the right. We still have a ton of space behind it on both sides, so I think that that will be good. And this is with the wheel away to the left. This is what I was most concerned about, but it looks like we still have a ton of clearance. Even if I get a wheel that is going to be a good bit wider, I think it'll contact the frame right there before it gets anywhere near this pipe. So that is good to go. I'm going to crawl out from underneath here, and we're going to put this all back together. Everything is back together. Bumper's back on. We got the old exhaust back in. Everything's done. So now we get to start it. This should be a lot quieter. It's still fairly loud, but a lot quieter. Nice. I can actually have a conversation now. It's not unbearingly loud. This one still has a little bit of rasp, but it only really happens when you're stationary, when there's no load on it. Under load, it sounds great. So that's awesome. That'll be a lot better and more tolerable on my big trip this weekend, which is going to be Grid Life Midwest. By the time you watch this, I will have already gone through Grid Life Midwest. It'll be Sunday. I will probably have probably a lot of a hangover because we were partying this Saturday. But yeah, I gotta get the car done, meaning wash it and prepare it, and got a couple of new stickers and things going on. I have to wash it, I gotta pack it, I gotta do a bunch of stuff still. So that'll be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.